Today on the Model Way podcast, we're joined by a powerhouse in the world of wellness, Karin Adoni Ben David. Karin is a certified integrative nutritionist, wellness coach, and an emotional eating expert with over 20 years of experience helping women transform their relationship with food, body, and self-worth. Her work has reached thousands around the world through her platform, KarinAdoni.com, where she shares tools, real talk, and healing strategies for emotional eating, body confidence, and creating a sustainable, healthy routine. Today, we are diving into one of the biggest challenges in the modeling world: food, routine, and the pressures to be perfect. Whether you're a model, a creative, or someone simply looking for balance, Karin's insights are going to wake you up, ground you, and empower you. And before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to our newsletter at themodelwaypodcast.com to get exclusive tips, behind the scenes access, and wellness resources sent straight to your inbox. Let's welcome the incredible, the inspiring Karin Adoni Ben David. Our show starts right now. Ms. Karin, how are you today?
I'm
thank you
good.
For showing
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm so excited about having to hear you today because really this show's about inspiring people, and you are definitely an inspiration. We want to thank you for coming in because absolutely we're going to talk through this thing because you are a certified wellness and nutritionist. Tell us about what that is.
So basically, I studied holistic and regular nutrition. I studied both, which I love. So overall, I did 6 years of studying because I believe that the world needs to combine both Western, I want to say, and Eastern nutrition and medicine. Then I chose to go more towards, I want to say, not completely natural, but like actually looking at the body as whole. You know, not just counting calories in and out, not just saying, oh, your stomach hurts, so we want to just treat this, but looking at the overall person, what they eat, what they do, how they feel. So looking at someone and to create, like, I want to say, like an inspiring change from within, and not just like eat this, don't eat this, but actually explaining to them how powerful food is, how much energy it can give you, how it can drain you, how it can impact your mood swings, your health, and so on and on.
So during this whole time, you've learned all this over the years, but it sounds like from what I've read and talked to you and read about yourself, did you struggle with food and things like that you had to change, and what made you do that and start this?
So yes, I suffered from eating disorders. It started when I was 11. And I grew up in the 90s, so there was no, Instagram or TikTok. So it was a lot of, I want to say, self-influence and maybe some social, but there's a lot of like type A perfectionism involved with that. And there's a lot of, eating behaviors and problems that are also involved with like emotional struggles and whatever it is. So I want to say from the age of 11 until at least I was 21, so 10 years of my life, wow. I was literally doing every diet in the book that you can imagine: the cabbage diet, the apple diet. I would do extreme workouts. I would take fat burners, legal, illegal. I would starve myself. I was bored. I was like almost hospitalized a few times. So I always wanted to be in control and to show that everything is okay. But, I would step on the scale 10 times a day. The scale would go with me everywhere, whether car, I would go to the gym obsessively. I would wake up in the middle of the night weighing myself. It was a struggle. I always say when you have eating disorders, it's like being in a jail inside your head, because that's basically what sets the tone, I want to say, for everything. And it's so past beyond of how you look and how skinny you are. And it is completely a mental situation that people sometimes don't understand how complex and hard it is, and how many demons you need to overcome. I can tell you that the people that like I was hospitalized a few times for like day treatments and whatever it is, not like a full on. Some of the girls that were there didn't make it, or they're still. So it's not something that people think it's like, not every girl that has a bad relationship with food necessarily has a severe eating disorders. There's also a spectrum and a range in a wide spectrum. So for me, when I was 21, I went to I flew to the Far East with some friends, and for like the first time in my life, I was able to like enjoy and being present without like obsessing about everything. And all the obsessions came along with that. And I kind of realized that I needed to make a decision whether I'm taking over control of the disease or the disease will take control over my life. And I chose, to start taking care of myself. So I went back into my therapist, but this time I wasn't lying. And in that point, I was working in the fashion industry, and I was also enrolled for like business, fashion, and marketing school. And I dropped because I was like, I need to change also my environment. I had a group of friends, which I loved, but they were kind of unhelpful and toxic for that situation. So I quit my job, I stopped school, I changed my circle of friends, and it was a long process. It didn't take a day or two, but that's also what led me to go and study and perceive this world, which was first for self-healing. Only after it became a goal, a destiny, and a part of my being, and I feel that that's my goal.
Wow. So it sounds like you just started doing all this and you were trying to find your own self and your emotional healing, but the toxicity from the other friends made it difficult to release this inner demon that you were fighting. And at what point was it like, okay, I'm done. I can't do it no more. I got to move on and take care of myself.
So I think that I came back realizing that, and then the first thing I stopped was I quit my job, and the boss didn't want to let me quit. He was really fighting it, even though I said very loud, listen, I'm struggling with eating disorders. This is not a healthy environment. And I dropped from school. It was really hard, but every step that I took, every time like I felt like I made a progress, I realized that my environment was drowning me back. So I needed to cut more of what I'm doing. And listen, it's like changing your entire reality. I had friends that were with me since the age of 6, but not all were toxic, but it was a group. And I needed just to step away from them. And they also didn't realize what happened, but I didn't feel the need to go and talk to them because it was something that I was going through, and it's not something that they could have changed. It's something that I needed to step away, change, and find myself in a different way.
Yes. And it sounds like you have, because look where you're at now, because you're actually using this to help other people. And it's so good to have you on here, because I think that a lot of models, especially the ones I work with, a lot of them, they get in this toxic feeling, and food is like it's either a good thing or it can be a bad thing. And I love it because yes, and you're trying to, we need to find a way to get some of these girls and guys even to say, hey, it's okay to be yourself, but let's put the good, like you said, you got to have the food to make it a good thing, but it can also be your worst enemy too.
100%. And I'm sure you can tell, as someone who works in the industry's ins and out, how much pressure do models or talents get to look in a certain way.
Yes, and they're trying to be perfect in a way. And like I said, I think the toxicity comes from like social media and things like that, to have this look. They've changed it all, especially through the 90s, and it started getting worse and worse. And all the Kardashians and all those people started coming out, and everybody's like, we got to look like them, and it's not healthy. I mean, what do we do to change that mindset with our youth?
So I think, first of all, social media it's brought to the world a lot of good and a lot of bad. And as someone who's also, I want to say, very active on social media as well, one of the things that was always important for me is really to be like no BS, very authentic, very who I am. Just because and one of the things, especially the younger generation, like the Gen Zs, I want to say millennials like me, we kind of grew in the era where we didn't have it. I'm like I was born in 86, so I'm like the beginning of the millennial. So I really grew up, in the time where social media wasn't like, we had ICQ and all of those things like years ago. So it wasn't the same.
Right.
But in today's world, that's the reality they grow into. And social media is fake. We have to put it out there. And those models and those figures or influencers or whatever it is that you follow, they don't look like that in reality. Even when I worked in models here in LA or in New York, they were gorgeous and beautiful and tall, and they had amazing genetics, but they also worked in looking the way they looked, and still they didn't look like they looked in magazines or TV.
No, they don't.
And they look beautiful, don't get me wrong, but they're not perfect because no one is. And that's what we're not normalizing. That's not what's not being talked about. And like the heroin chic in the 90s, and then there was like the body positivity, but that went way too far because we were now encouraging obesity.
Yeah, so, that part right there. That's part of that toxicity that you talked about, because now we've accepted, obesity back then and up to just a few years ago when people were like, this is not right. I mean, we're encouraging people to be obese and overweight, and they're calling it welcoming. And now that we're changing this mindset with you, it's like, how can we fix ourselves to where we're not in that toxic mindset with this, where this point where we're at?
100%. So first of all, understanding that extreme isn't welcome. Like, by no means. Like heroin chic or being like more like extremely skinny isn't healthy. And also being obese, and it doesn't matter how much they try to normalize telling it's their metabolism, saying they eat healthy. There's no such thing. There's nothing healthy about obesity. It's sad. It's something that we need to help, but we can normalize it. But then on the other hand, it's not a new trend. It's for 15 years. We have the Kardashian trend, which you've talked and mentioned. Kardashians, great for them for what they built, but none of them were born in the way they look. None.
No, they weren't. They weren't.
Surgery, nose to tail, like as we say, with like there's nothing natural about them.
Right.
So, and then you walk around in LA and everyone are injected and everyone has fillers and everyone has those huge lips, and it's great. If you love that look, it's amazing. But where do you find yourself? That uniqueness. That's something that differentiates you from the others. Something that tells you this is who I am. Because one of the things that you can see, even the models, the influencers, the talents, the people that succeeded the most in the world, yes, they were hard workers. Yes, they had talent. Yes, they had high work ethics. But they were also loyal to themselves, to their path. And to be who they are, because that's what the people loved. And when you try to be like everyone else, then you're just like everyone else. And sometimes you have those models or influencers or actress that really succeeded because her nose wasn't perfect or because her face wasn't like that. It was like so great, and she brought something so relatable to the world. And this is what people are looking for now. They're looking for someone to feel that they can relate to.
Yes.
So that's exactly where it is. And today, with social media, we have also the power to voice ourselves and to show up. And then they can attract brands, model agencies, or whatever it is for their uniqueness. And not for them being a part of the herd that everyone are doing the same.
I love that. We're going to pause right there, guys. I want you to go ahead and like and subscribe to the channel, because right now, guys, we are we're top 5 in Apple Podcasts, guys. I love it because of you, because of the subscriptions, because of the views, because of the shares. We are growing, guys, and we're coming right along. If you support this cause, please like and subscribe to us. Go to our merchandise, guys. Click on that merch button right there, because I got tees, I've got hats, I've got coffee cups, I've got coolers. I got everything you can possibly think of. I want you to go out and buy it if you support the cause and support the show so we can keep growing the way we are. We're here with Miss Karin out of LA, and she is talking about wellness with us. And I'm loving her here because we just now start talking about some of the things and the trends in the society that we're dealing with and the things that we're having to overcome because of social media, because of encouragement to look a certain way. And we're talking about that right now, and that's where we were at. But, Karin, I love what we're talking about because you talked about finding your own way. It's okay to be normal, right? That's basically what I'm hearing. It's okay to be normal. You don't have to look like A, B, and C reality stars, right? You can be yourself. It's okay to have a crooked nose. It's okay to have a little bit of a tad of a belly, right? In certain extents, but you want to make sure that you're doing those things. And we're here today talking about that in the models. You models that are out there struggling with food, I want you to go visit her website right now and go check it out because it's just really, I'm going to put those links in my at the bottom of the channel there so you guys can go subscribe to her and go check her out and some of her insights there. But Karin, this is really cool. I'm glad that you're here. We were going inside of this deep dive into this thing with these models and stuff, and we kind of hitting some of the main points there. I heard earlier that you were around in the business a little bit. I think your father was a designer. Tell me what your father did. That's kind of cool.
So my dad was a fashion designer. He was designing clothes. He was manufacturing abroad. And some of that was, I always loved fashion. I always loved business. I always loved marketing. Naturally, I was supposed to take over the business because I really loved it. So I grew up in that world. So I know that world from the inside out. And
that's good.
For the good and bad, so for the good, I love it. I know what it is. And for the bad, I also know how much pressure, you try on pants and all of a sudden you had a meal that is extra big, or you went out to dinner last night and it shows all of a sudden, you're being measured in every second and being compared to so many people, and the competition is so hard. Always a younger, prettier, better talent, better model, better girl with more connections, with parents that, whatever it is, there's always someone. That pressure is so big, and then you want to succeed. And then a part of the success, you feel that you have to obey those, standards. So I want to say one of the things for me working many years with models, even top models, was teaching them how you can sustain a healthy lifestyle without sacrificing your health. So yes, still eating, but just keeping a healthy regiment and routine that it's you can have breakfast, but just know how to start off your morning with good protein and some eggs and maybe some avocado, maybe some berries. Yes, do your work, but don't starve. Have a good healthy lunch. Don't come to the point where you're starving yourself, you're binging, and then you're throwing up or taking diuretic pills or do all of that, that bad vicious cycle that it's so easy to get to. Or I also want to talk about something that maybe shouldn't be talked about, also using drugs to suppress your appetite.
That part right there. Yes. Somebody's listening to this right now and it's going to hit you hard right now. Go ahead.
Yeah. So whether it was in my time taking Coke just because to suppress your appetite and give you that high, which does damage your heart, does make you addicted, makes you numb, change your personality, you become an addict. And by the way, you become an addict, it's much easier to take advantage of you because you're now an addict. And again, you lost your voice. And there's so many ways to get to exactly where you want to be without abusing yourself. If your goal is having successful people that made it, but also afterwards had happy life, were the ones that were with self-love and self-worth. Because what is it all worth to have money and fame when you're the unhappiest person in the world?
God, that's good. That's good. You sat there and hit a good point there, because I'm going to tell you something. I was in New York City one time and I was up there shooting for one of my designer friends. And this is back earlier in this is probably about 12 years ago. And we was up in New York and she took me out to dinner. And we go out to dinner and we go around, I forgot where we were at. I think we were in Dumbo or something like that, but we were down there eating dinner and I saw these models in there and they were gorgeous. And you could tell one of them was like drugged up really bad. And you can tell that was affecting her, because I'm thinking to myself, you guys need to be resting right now. You don't need to be out here partying like you're beautiful. You guys look natural. You look amazing. But let's stop the partying right now and then get there. But I kind of want to throw that in there because that cocaine thing is real. And I love being real and very transparent on this show because we talk about these real issues because normal people go through them. And you may not, you may be alone, and you can get some help with this and fighting this toxicity that you have, like she's talking about, and learning how to create healthy lifestyles within your lifestyle and be confident in all these things with what you're doing. It's all sustainable. And I think just having a healthy routine is going to be part of that.
100%. And I also feel is that it's so important that if you go into the show business, modeling, whatever it is, to have an entourage, a team of people, supportive parents, supportive friends, supportive agent, because that's what can take you to the best places in the world, but also the worst.
Dang. Wow. Well, let me ask you this. So how do people kind of find that trigger point if they're having a little bit of toxicity, and you know who you are? If you're looking at this camera and you see that you know that you got toxicity, you're not admitting it to yourself. How do you find out that you really are doing toxicity, but where can I get help, or how do I get the help to fix it?
So I think, first of all, understanding that you can change your own reality in every given moment. That's first. Now, even if you're signed on a contract, or even if you feel that the agent that you have is the only way for you to succeed, it's because they probably manipulated you and created a narrative in your head that you think that they're the only way for you to succeed. When in reality, they need you as much as you need them. Because if you're signed with them, you probably have talent, looks, something that they're for. But if you look now at the short term, maybe changing your agents, your agency, your whatever it is, the environment will be harder short term, because it's a change, and change is scary. Right. But long, think where you'll be 5 to 10 years from now with this environment. Where will that? So if you close your eyes and think about it a year from today or 10 years from today, where will you be if you actually will have a healthy, supportive, support
environment system? That's right.
Environment that won't take advantage of you. And again, there's a difference between, interests and it's like give or take relationship, and it's fine. That's how the world works. No one, it's okay. It's business. But then there's a difference between mutual interests and taking advantage and abuse.
Yeah, that's crazy good. It's funny you say that, because really, like me personally, I send a lot of models overseas. They go to Europe, they go to Milan, they go to Paris, they go to London, all these places. And, I sent models, and a lot of times they'll go stay in model housing, right? Yeah. And so I think a lot of people get insecurities within that, because they end up talking with each other in this place, and the need to be perfect for one, in the industry that's so demanding. They go off and experience these experiences with these models. You may have 8 models in a house, and then 2 of them are very toxic. One of them's doing drugs, one of them's staying out all night, they're partying, they're doing this. How do you separate yourself from the pack to make sure that you're aligning yourself in the right path? Does that make sense? I hope I asked that question right.
It makes perfect sense. I think one of the things is that see who you're taking advices from.
That's right.
If they're a role model, or something you aspire to be, or someone you don't want to be like. And
that's good.
A lot of times those top model houses are extremely toxic, because they pick up on bad behaviors from one another.
They do.
Because that's the culture. And then instead of rarely there's someone there who picks up everyone into a positive place, just because of the age, the situation, everything. Yes. It's just what it is. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, try to be the voice of making that positive impact. And the ones that drags everyone to go out, to party, to throw up, to do drugs, to take whatever it is, look at her and see if she's a role model that you want to see yourself there in 2 years, 5 years. They're usually also a little bit older, that have that, and not older, 2 years older, that have that influence. So look at that and find that, because the environment where you go to sleep and wake up makes a huge difference.
Man, that's good. I like that, because you said that go look for that person that's got basically you said, go look at that older person, that person that has maybe been through that. They went through that same thing that you're sitting in right now, where all of a sudden you seeing them successful, but they don't realize that they were them 4 years ago. But they broke the toxicity, they broke that cycle, and now they're making money. They found balance, they found their health, they found all these things that can keep that routine together and make them a well-balanced model.
Exactly. And I also think that you can become a very successful professional in whatever you do. But you also need to make sure that your quality of life maintains. Because we've seen so many in the modeling world, acting, singing, they don't pass the age of 30, or you look at them and you know that they're a miserable life. They live a miserable life. They have a lot of mental issues that have developed, a lot of health issues that have developed. So maybe they live in this huge Bel Air mansion and it's like fame and fortune, but they are terrified to get out of the house because they live with anxiety and they need medications 24/7. So look on people that also not only made it in the news and the magazines, but you also aspire to live that kind of life. And it's hard because when you're young, you don't appreciate that. You appreciate others. Only when you get older, you realize that. But remember that the ones that actually made it, even if I'm going to give a different example completely, even NBA players, right? So a lot of them grew up in places where they didn't have a lot of money, and a lot of them made a lot of money when they went into the NBA, and they were with their entourage and they just wasted and spent so much money. By the time they finished their career, they were broke.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, the NBA started this program giving them financial advice on how to go about it and basically also come out of it so they won't be broke and homeless by the time they finish their career. And then all of a sudden they understand things. So think ahead. Be a forward thinker.
That's good. It doesn't always have to be miserable right at that moment, right? Even in life, right? Your life's not that forever. It don't have to be the same way you're doing it. And with all these eating disorders and having wellness and things like that, like we were talking about, it goes both ways, like being skinny. It goes to being overweight and obese and getting into a danger zone there too. But we don't talk about all that a lot. But now you and I are trying to make it normal again, right? Especially you, because you in that world. And I'm actually in the world too, because I deal with this all the time. And it's nice to have our audience know and understand that they're not in this fight alone. And there's things that people can help them to get in the routines. So tell us what it is that you do to help. What is it that you do to help people? If you're ready to take your content to the next level, whether it's videography, photography, or both, let me put you onto what I use every day, the Sony ZV-E10. Paired with this Sigma 1850mm f2.8 lens, this combo is absolutely beast. The ZV-E10 gives you 4K video, incredible real-time eye autofocus, a fully articulating screen, and beautiful color right out of the camera. But when you slap that Sigma 1850, now you've gotten buttery bokeh, low light flexibility with the constant f2.8 aperture, intact sharp clarity for portraits, fashion shoots, interviews, or content creation. This thing is lightweight, it's versatile, and the zoom range is perfect for everything from wide shots to tight close-ups. Whether you're in studio or on location, this setup is pro-level quality without the bulk or the price tag. For creators, podcasters, photographers, or anyone who wants to look legit on camera, this combo is an unstoppable setup. I don't just recommend it, I use it. Sony ZV-E10. So tell us what it is that you do to help. What is it that you do to help people?
So what is that I do to help people? So I coach and I work with clients privately. I help them with programs, meal plans, whether it's coaching from nutrition perspective, illnesses. I help them feel better, look better, whether it's specifically for models and people in that industry. It's how you can look in a certain way, look amazing, be as skinny as you want without starving yourself and without, the need to basically suffer all the time to look in a certain way. So I work with online groups and I work with one-on-one. So I have a team that works with my people in my groups, and I also work with clients as well. I'm very active on Instagram, which I share a lot of my do's and don'ts for like wellness and health brand, and what you should avoid for your health and how you should go about it. So it comes from like food to even like makeup and Sephora and all kind of other stuff on that array. So it's like, I love as my passion to help people. I've been doing it for 20 years, guiding them through. And my thing is that I'm not all about like, hey, eat this and eat that. I do that.
That's good. That's
but
good
I'm
to know.
also here on how to create that change. Like, I'm going to tell you what to eat to look exactly the way you want to look, but I'm also going to make you actually do it in a positive way that will sustain and remain. So this will become your lifestyle and not another extreme diet.
I love that, because you're talking about being a lifestyle and keeping that within your realm. So because it makes you that much better, right? Like, you don't want to have something where you're doing it's temporary. You're not looking for a temporary fix. You're looking for a lifetime change. You're looking for people that can sustain what they've learned from you and continue in life learning to get better with it, right? And I love that about you, because it's amazing. And I hope we get to definitely work together again and maybe talk through some stuff, and maybe send you some of my models, because I think it's good about emotional healing. Because it sounds like you do a lot of that, and a lot of that has to come through. A lot of it comes through eating. You know, I've struggled with that myself. You know, you get depressed or you get down on yourself. Guess what? You're eating, right? Or not eating, right? Like, so that's really a good thing. And, you know, it's been absolutely a pleasure having you on here. If you had one thing to say to that model that's struggling right now with addiction, whether it's with addiction with food, eating kind of drug habits or anything like that, what would you tell that person right now?
I would tell her or him or whoever is listening that a change doesn't happen, over day, but it happens every day. And every small step that you take upon it will bring you into a different reality. And if you wake up in the morning and let's say there's 5 to 10 aspects in your life, ask yourself if you're happy on those aspects. If you have more no's than yes, maybe it's time for a change. And I can help you with the change, or you can find anyone else who can help you with that change. But if there's more no's than yes, it's time for a change.
Yes. Guys, this has been an incredible talk, guys. I wish we had more time, because I think there needs to be a part 2, because I got some other ideas.
100.
The show's out, but we're gonna call her back. You're coming back, Karin. Okay, so
I'm gonna come
back on here again, and I would love to probably do some kind of a live call. I think I want to do a live call and go live and bring some people in, and maybe we can visit with some people and stuff like that, and kind of get some questions answered and stuff like that. But this has been a powerful episode, guys. I hope you took it all in. Don't forget to please like and subscribe to our channels today. Hit that like button here on YouTube. Go hit the subscribe button on podcast and Apple and iHeartRadio. I forgot to mention, but we'd love to having you guys here. We'd love having you here on our show. We thank you for everything, Miss Karin. We really thank you for being out here. This has been absolutely a pleasure. We thank you.
Thank you so much. It's been great.
Wonderful. Hey guys, my name is Lenny Wheeler. This is the Model Way Podcast. And until next time, guys, you already know. Hasta la vista.